it's Coach Robert. I recently had the idea to work on openings for the viewers, and since a lot of openings are changing all the time, like new things are coming out and certain things are trending or losing favor, I didn't want to work on those openings necessarily because there are lots of people sharing those things and everyone has access to databases now. So I wanted to focus in on the openings that you might run into that could be kind of annoying to actually do your own prep for, but the lines for which we know a concrete refutation, something that's never going to change, where the opening is just finished and you don't have to think about it anymore once you know, or openings where you have a forced draw line. So we're starting with the Halloween Gambit because of the season, and the Halloween Gambit starts like this. It's in the four knights, and if white was interested in playing a good line, they might play like bishop b5, but Kramnik pioneered this move knight d4, and it's given a lot of trouble to white, which is why we don't really see the four knights these days ever since like the early 2000s. So if you're interested in seeing the main lines, you can check that out. But the Halloween Gambit starts with this blunder, knight takes e5. And I'm calling it a blunder because not only is there a line that leads to black being up a piece by force, but there are several other lines that black can play if they want to be really lazy to just get a small advantage and kind of start fresh. So obviously we should accept this gambit. It's a whole knight. It's pretty rare to see a gambit where you give a whole minor piece early on without immediately winning it back, or it just being a tactic that wins the game. So we should take that knight. And the kind of compensation that white gets for the knight is a lot of space and a lot of development. So here we can't give this knight back in any reasonable way. We have to retreat, so we can go to g6 or we can go to c6. So the lazy way to defend, which requires you to know not very much, is knight c6. It's worse because white almost has full compensation, but it's simple, so I'll show you quickly. After d5, you can bring your knight back to e5. If you could stabilize this knight here, black would be just way better, even if it was equal material. But after f4, they're getting even more space and development. You have to go to g6. So now you can see that it was kind of maybe a waste of time to go to c6 and back. But the difference here is that after knight g8, the only real way for white to press is with d6 or queen e2. So if we start with d6, they get a lot of space, and in this position they have a tactical threat. If you want to pause to see if you can figure out what it is, go right ahead. But I'm just going to tell you that it's queen e2. And if you have to block with a minor piece, you're going to lose it, and white will have full compensation for all of the bad things that they did. So instead of letting that happen, we should make space for the king and play queen f6, which is also threatening to win this d-pawn. That's important. So generally white will play queen e2. Otherwise, they're pretty much just not having a good time. So after queen e2 check, queen e6 is what I'm recommending, although you could play other moves. And after knight b5, you just trade the queens, so now you're pretty much never going to get checkmated here. And with b6, we can set a trap. It's not like a real trap, it's a good move because we're trying to play bishop b7 and develop our pieces somehow. But the trap is that if they go ahead and recover the material that they sacrificed by getting our rook, if you just take the 30,000 foot view here, you'll see that they have 3 minor pieces, we have 4 minor pieces. So we are technically down a minor piece, right? Well, the knight on a8 is not coming out. And right here we can take this pawn. And we have the initiative because we're threatening bishop b7 and knight takes f4 and all kinds of things. And we can also simply finish development with knight f6 and rook e8. So black has no more problems, but white has to mitigate the issue with this knight on a8 being trapped. And they don't have a clear, good way to develop their pieces, if you ask me. Black's king is also perfectly safe. So this is a slight advantage for black, but it's very easy to get this position. You don't really have to know anything. In fact, the only other place where white can reasonably deviate is with queen e2. And here, the tricky thing you need to know is that since white has so much space, it's really, really important that you trade a pair of pieces. So you can't just go ahead with some random move. You have to play bishop b4 here. You have to try to get rid of this bishop. It's also good to get rid of this knight because often white will try to play d6 and then knight d5, or they'll play knight e4. So you play bishop b4, and get rid of your bishop, get rid of their knight. White will usually keep up the attack by gaining even more space with tempo, and we have to, retreat. We're doing a lot of retreating in this opening, as long as they're pushing those pawns. But that's fine, because as long as you have enough room to get your pieces out, you'll be just in the nick of time. Bishop g5 is defending these pawns by pinning the knight. And there's no reason to be hasty. We should just play king f8, which is awkward. We're going to lose our castling. And in this opening, no matter which line you choose, like the full-blown refutation I'm about to show you, or this variation that's easier to remember, you're always going to lose your castling rights, but you should be happy that you're up a piece. So after long castling, we trade off that knight before they have a chance to use it, and so we don't have a hanging piece anymore. This also weakens their pawn structure, so that's all good. And then we play d6, which is helping to get our bishop into the game. If they want to keep playing for keeps, they should play e6. But here we can play h6 and then develop our knight. And if they do this, they're wrecking our pawn structure, which causes like some small issues, but it's nothing we can't handle. After queen h5 threatening mate, we can just take, and play queen e8. And once our queen is out to g6, we are pretty much scot-free. I think this position is pretty easy to play. Of course, I'm not saying this is like an immediate panacea. You'll definitely need to think about the line that I'm giving and like play it out on the board to make sure you really understand, because there are little tiny things that they could try, and depending on your level, these things could be like trivial, where it's obvious how you deal with them, or it could be a little bit challenging. You'll have to spend a couple minutes, but I think it shouldn't take you more than an hour to learn how to play this line. Definitely not. But I do recommend something a little bit more challenging, which is knight g6, and this will lead to black being just up a piece. So after knight g6, the main move is e5, because white needs to get as much space and development as possible as compensation for the knight that they sacrificed. And here it's clear to see that we can only put the knight on g8 without losing it, so we go ahead and do that. More backpedaling. It's not comfortable, but we are up a piece. And as long as we don't block in our bishops such that we can't move anything, we should be fine in positions like this. So white will go ahead and play those easy moves. Bishop c4. And here, black actually has several options, because bishop c4 doesn't threaten anything immediately. And the idea that I'm going to recommend is not a top move, so you could even cause the plan that white players have in the Halloween Gambit of taking people out of prep. You can flip it around on them by playing c6. So they will likely not have this move prepared. This is a deep idea. Basically, white wants to play queen f3, or just any of several moves, but their whole attack is on the white squares. That's pretty typical. As white, when you're on the attack, you're usually going to be attacking like this on the white squares, especially in the e4 openings. So they want to attack f7, they might want to attack b7. There are a lot of critical squares where attacks can occur, and they're all light colored. So when we play c6, we're overprotecting b5 and d5, and we're also preparing the move d5. So there are a lot of good things about this move. c6, it also makes room for our queen in some lines. So it's a generally useful move. And for that reason, white can't just dawdle and play something slow. They have to play queen f3, which threatens mate. And this is a thing that you'll see a lot in this opening. At some point, white might start to play this kind of scholar's mate type attack. But it's easy to repel. One thing that I like to remind my students all the time is that as black, you almost always want to play the move d5. That's usually how you finish your development and fight for the center without ending up with less space. So once you have an opportunity to play d5, you should strongly consider it. And in this position, d5 is good. Now you might initially shy away from it because they can take en passant and then they're threatening checkmate again. But hear me out. If they retreat, you're totally winning. All you can just develop your pieces any way you want. If they play like bishop b3 or bishop d3, just develop those pieces and castle. You'll definitely get it going. But if they take en passant, the only downside of this is that it allows them to keep attacking f7, but there's a really big upshot. It's that they no longer have all that space that was compensation for their knight, and the pawn on d6 is weak. There's no way they can hold on to it. So the way we deal with this is not by taking on d6 and getting checkmated, it's by playing bishop e6, which is going for more trades. Usually when you're up a piece, it's good to trade pieces, right? So we're doing that here. In order for them to avoid trading pieces, they need to play d5. if they trade, it's like over for them. There's no way that they can keep up the attack. Like a sample line, bishop takes, pawn takes. They might play h4 with the idea of playing h5 and just being a general nuisance, but after bishop takes d6, h5, it turns out that this is not a big deal at all. The move knight h4 is very accurate. It allows you to go on to f5, where you exert strong pressure over the entire board. And we're just up a piece. Like, now that everything's getting developed, like this one's going to come on f6. It's just, there's no problems for black. Just make sure before you enter into this position that you play it out maybe against a computer that's near your level, or a friend, or on the board against yourself, something like that. The only reason I think anyone should be preparing against the Halloween Gambit is if they know that they have an opponent who favors it at least a significant fraction of the time. Otherwise, it's not that important to remember this. So, anyway, or maybe you're just curious about why it doesn't work, right? So d5 is a strong move for white, but it's something we can easily handle, again in a similar fashion to the scholar's mate positions. If you take here, you're losing. So if you want to pause and figure out why that's true, go ahead. The answer is bishop b5, and you can see that you're going to lose a piece, because if you block in any way, there's going to be some check, and then you have to put a piece on e7, or worse, you might just lose. So yeah, bishop b5 is strong. You can convince yourself if you're not sure. So we don't take it. After all, that's too greedy. We should get rid of the pieces as quickly as possible with knight e5. Sorry, the attack is all on the light squares, so of course we should get rid of the light square bishop. If they take on e6, we take the queen, so they have to play queen e2. We can go ahead and take that bishop, because, I want it. And now they can take on e6, which leaves the knight hanging. You might think that's kind of awkward, but luckily we can just bring it back to safety with knight takes d6. And you might be saying, like, where's my development? I haven't developed my pieces yet. But they also don't have anything spectacular going on here. They can check your king and ruin your castling, but without that light square bishop, this is a really benign position. We're just going to block any checks with development and enjoy. This position is totally winning for black, and it's super easy. If you're not sure, just make sure you check it out yourself. So the critical move here is bishop f4, and I still think this is pretty easy, because this knight's overprotected, right? The reason they're playing bishop f4 is not so much because they want to take this as a fair trade, but because they want to castle and put pressure on this knight and try to win the knight. So if we play queen f6, there will be no pin. They can't win it. It's just not going to happen. So now they should probably cash in with that double check to ruin our castling. But even this is really comfy. We're threatening rook e8. So they have to make this trade to try to tactically deal with it. And this way they got out of the danger. But after rook e8, queen c4, queen e6, we're threatening to trade queens, and I don't think they have any reasonable way of avoiding an exchange of queens. And so whatever they do, we're just going to finish our development. This position's totally fine. So I think this pretty much concludes it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. I'll definitely get back to you. We can talk about lines in the chat. But the main takeaway here is that this Halloween Gambit is a refuted opening. There's an easy short line that you can remember where you get a small advantage. In fact, there are several. That's just one of them. But if you want to get the maximum for it, I think this line is the way that you get the most out of their bad move, knight takes e5. So prepare this if you know someone plays this any fraction of the time. Like if they play it even like a fifth of the time, I think it's worth knowing, because it doesn't take very much time to learn these lines, and the reward is a full point. So you guys can look forward to more refutations. I'm going to be putting out a whole series on these. So yeah, I hope you like this one. Until next time, take care. Check out my other videos. They're about more general thinking techniques.